Well, my loves. Today I want to get into, actually, I'm going to get into some really like awesome as topics, some things that will definitely elevate you and elevate your consciousness. So I'm really excited to share it with you. It is something that always I've always kind of had an idea of, but when I became more conscious of myself and who I truly am, I just dove right into this information, and I became more in tune with this information in order for me to share it with you. So let me start off first by sending you guys peace, blessings, love, and abundance. I always want to send that energy out to you. That's why that became actually my slogan, like the way I open my videos, because this type of information I'm going to share with you is actually speaking to why that is such a beautiful energy to send to you guys, a beautiful form of energy to send your way, So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Today's video is about prosperity programming. Remember yesterday I told you that I purchased this book, and this book has just reaffirmed a lot of things that I already have known, but also what it's done is it's caused for me to expand on that and for my knowledge to grow on prosperity programming and other things. So let me just go ahead and jump into it. So we already know that they say that we only use about 10%, only 10% of our brain, our mind is conscious. As conscious program, or I should say conscious living. And some people think that it's 95%, and I think that that percentage varies based upon how much negative programming we were given when we were young children. So 95% of our life is coming from the programs, from our subconscious programming. Now, how to live life that we get, how we live our life is the information or the programming that we get from the first 7 years of our life. That's why poor people stay poor and rich people stay rich. And that is coming from Dr. Bruce Lipton. That is his quote, that 95% of our life is coming from the subconscious programming. And how we live our life is based upon the first 7 years of our life. All right. He says that the movie The Matrix is not science fiction, however, it is a documentary. Every human's first 7 years is download of hypnosis, right? The brain of a child under 7 is in a lower vibration of consciousness. It's called theta. Between the ages, so now I'm going to jump into it. Between the ages of 0 to 7 are our programming years. During these years, our children will spend most of their time in between alpha and theta brainwave cycles, which is the same state that a person is in when they are in hypnosis or meditation, and that's the theta stage, okay? So basically, what you can do is you can imagine your little child or little children walking around in a permanent state of hypnosis during the ages of 0 through 7, all right? And they're being programmed by their environment, first in the home, second other family members and close friends, and then third school, because during those ages 0 to 7, though, that's your life cycle. That's what you're doing. You're at home with your family, your parent or your parents. Your parents, you may have had other children, so you have the other children around you. They could be, and if they're older than you, they have this conditioned programming as well, from the environment and from the same parents. And then you are sent off to school, and so you are being programmed from that environment, your school environment. So you're very open to suggestion, and you're in a super state of learning at that point. That is why you go to school during that time, and I did a video talking about that, which I'll get into a little bit later. So these are the years when you take on certain belief systems about yourself and your life, okay? And many of these suggestions, this programming, will remain unconscious throughout the rest of our lives, meaning that we're just doing it without consciously even knowing why we do the things we do or why we think the way we think, okay? So how this programming will show up, since we're unconsciously doing it, it will come up through our behaviors and our achievements and the goals that we set out for ourselves, the friends that we choose, the life partners that we choose as well. So the people we marry, or the people we date, and the list goes on and on. All right. So if you actually think about it, every belief that we have has been put there or suggested by somebody else. And that is mainly our parents, because they play the most crucial role in the programming of us. And that is not necessarily the things that they say all the time, it's the things that they do as well. Because in these hypnosis stage, you're literally picking up those images. It's like watching TV. So if in this day and time, and when I was growing up, TV was a big deal and is a big deal. So you're literally just watching a whole bunch of television shows, and you're being programmed by those images. That's why the powers that be that are in control of the programming, they make sure that they put certain images or symbols in the face of our children, so that they can program them, because they know that this is the super learning stage, okay, of a child, the ages of 0 through 7. I start with 0 because programming starts in the mother's womb, and I also talked about this in my video, The 7 Cycles of Life. I'll talk about how these 7 cycles are in correlation with the 7 chakras, the planet Saturn, the Kabbalah tree of life. And I also talk about the 7 years of a child's life and how the chakras influence the child from the ages of 0 through 7. I also speak on how the mother's emotions, the child is in the sacral, near the sacral chakra, which is where the womb is located, and how the emotions of the mother and how she feels and how she thinks is programming the child already in the beginning stages, okay? And you can clearly see this from when the child comes out and they look like one particular parent. So if you were not in a good place with the father of that child will come out looking just like that man, because the thing that you dislike the most, like you hated his smile, like every fucking thing he did irritated the shit out of you, that child will probably come out imitating a lot of those characteristics from that father, because you programmed the child to have those characteristics by the things you were thinking about and the things you were feeling. Okay. Now, if you want more information on the 7 cycles of life, you can go check out my video to get that, because it's a very lengthy video. It's an hour or a little bit over an hour, and I break it down a little bit more. However, in this video, I'm going to break down the brainwave cycles so you can get more clarification, because I didn't touch on that in that video. All right. We're going to start with the delta stage. Now, delta is between birth and 2 years old. And actually, I think that delta is when the mother is pregnant with the child. The child is in a delta state. This is the human brain functions primarily in the This is when the human brain functions primarily in the lowest brainwave cycle. That is 0.5 to 4 cycles per second. These are called your delta waves. All right. Adults in deep sleep are in delta. And this explains why a newborn usually can't remain awake for more than a few minutes at a time. All right. Even at age 1, where they're awake more often, they still function primarily from their subconscious mind. At this level, there is very little critical thinking or judgment taking place. You may have heard of some people who are able to have operations and they feel no pain. All right. And that's because they are in the delta state. They're in a subconscious state. All right. And also, like I said, in the womb, your baby is receiving programming in this state. All right. Because when they're in the womb, they're mostly asleep. That's why when you be like, oh, the baby's kicking, the baby's awake. And it's not that they're doing that really often. And this is, of course, at a later stage of pregnancy. But most of the time, they're not kicking. Most of the time, they're sleeping because they're in the delta state. They're functioning mainly from their subconscious state, which is where you are when you're sleeping, when you're dreaming, I should say. All right. And this is also, like I was talking about, how your newborn baby knows how to copy certain features of the parent. They know how to copy that parent's smile. And they do this because during that time, it's crucial for them. They're building a rapport with the carrier, their mother. all right? And that's in order to aid them in survival outside of the womb, okay? Because I talked about in my video, the 7 cycles of life, that the beginning, the 0 through 7, the child is literally trying to survive. So they're taking on the information, that programming from their environment in order to survive in that environment. It's like a child that's living in the hood. That's why some of them join gangs, because they want to survive, okay? Now, let's talk about theta. Theta is the next stage. So these wave frequencies measure 4 to 8 cycles per second and are predominant in children aged 2 to 6. Children operating in theta are very connected to their internal world. They live in the realm of imagination, daydreaming, and still not able to show signs of critical rational thinking. This is a super learning state, okay? And I emphasize super learning state, where the child is open to suggestion. These children are likely to accept what you tell them as true. Hence, children start school at the age of 5, which is the kindergarten stage of school, which is where I began school. During my time of school, that was the time that children started. However, now they start as early as 4 in pre-K, and now we know actually even earlier than that, because we have babies and toddlers in daycare. So now we're actually giving them up to the school systems quicker than we used to, because now we're working more, because we have been programmed to think that work is a necessity in order to survive, right? In order to have the type of life that we want, we have to work really hard. And I'll get into that later on in this video. Okay? So people in the hypnosis state, this is the theta state, are more susceptible to taking in the programming of their environment. People in hypnosis and animals are also in this frequency. So children, the ages 2 to 6, and animals are in this frequency, right? That's why you can train an animal, because they're in that theta state, right? They can pick up that programming like a dog. You can teach them to fetch and do all these types of things. This is the state that we're training our children on. This is a very crucial state. To me, delta and theta are very crucial states for our children. This is when they are soaking up their environment. First in the womb, then from 0 to 2, and then from 2 to 6, they are taking on the parental programming and their environmental programming. Now, alpha functions between 5 to 8. So basically, when your child becomes 5, they're able to tap into the alpha state, and that happens from the ages of 5 to 8. Now, between ages 5 to 8, the brain waves have changed into an alpha frequency, or meaning that the child is residing more in the alpha frequency. So that is 8 to 13 cycles per second. This is the point at which the analytical mind begins to form. This is why at 5 years of age is when they started you in kindergarten, because now they're able to make you start thinking from your left brain perspective and make you become more analytical than being more intuitive, all right? Children start to interpret and draw conclusions from their environment. They start to build their own perspective. Still, though, the inner world of imagination tends to be as real as the outer world of reality. Again, that's because the child is operating from their theta state. However, their alpha state is kicking in at this time. So this is when they start to feed the children the programming of thinking that you have to work hard, or you are a product of your environment, right? So you feel like you can't change your outside environment. Now let's get into beta. Beta is from the ages of 8 to 12 and onwards. Brain activity increases to anything above 13 seconds per cycle. This is the world of conscious, analytical thinking. The mind is awake, focused, and alert, and is capable of logical thinking. Now, when they say that the mind is awake, that just means that you're able to logically or break down or analyze your outside world, okay? Adults spend most of their time in this cycle, and we know this because adults feel like we have to control everything, and that everything can be has to be explained. Everything has to be known to us, all right? Because we're living more in this physical reality versus being in our subconscious, or being more in our right brain thinking, which is tapping into the ether, tapping into source, tapping into that divine energy or creator that lets us know, or that we actually know that we're able to achieve anything that we want, and everything in our life is based upon programming. So if we are not conscious of that, we will continue to create the same reality but be confused as to why, or think that that is just the way that things are. So now let's go back to theta, because I want to spend a little bit more time on that. Theta, like I said, is the hypnosis state. All right, it's the highly suggestive state. That's when a child is more open to suggestion, and that again is the ages 2 through 6, and some people say 2 through 7. I think it's 2 through 7, and I will actually I will actually stick more to the 2 through 7, because again, we go our life goes in 7-year cycles, right? So you basically, during this age, you learn from watching your parents and your family. Think of that old drug commercial when the child was like, they tried to get you to not do drugs, and they were trying to make weed such a horrible drug because they wanted to program you to think that it was a bad thing, and that all drugs are a bad thing, and all drugs are created equally. And the child's parent asked him, where did he learn how to do that? And he said, I learned it from watching you. Right? So it was already telling you that children learn from the images they see, not from what you say, but from the images you see. Now, sometimes the things you say, if you repeatedly say those things, that will stick with the child as well, and that will cause for them to create a program in their head that that's who they are. And I'll get into that as well. So, like I said, you learn from watching your parents and your family. Also, you learn from your environment. You also learn from TV. Now, you learn all the rules that society has. So you learn what's good, what's bad, what you should and what you shouldn't do, right? In America, we have our own certain rules that we're supposed to quote unquote follow. And if you go to another country, that country has their own set of rules that they have to quote unquote follow. So what is supposedly bad here in America could be something that's not bad in another country. So again, that's why your environment programming dictates what you think about certain rules, what you think is good and what you think is bad, your perspective, that programming that has been downloaded into your subconscious, okay? Now, most melanated humans, and I am speaking from a melanated human experience because I am in a melanated bodysuit, all right? Most melanated humans, a lot of us come from a family that tells you life is hard for Black people, that that you have to work hard for everything you get, you have to struggle. And 9 times out of 10, your environment or your neighborhood also reflects this. Even if you're in, like I grew up in a type of a middle class environment, I still saw both of my parents working hard to achieve the things that we had, because my father said he had to work hard to keep a roof over our head because of the programming that he received growing up in the projects. You know what I'm saying? Growing up in Bankhead, growing up in the projects. That is the programming that he was given, and his environment reflected the programming that he was being told. So the images were also lining up with it, okay? Now, your parents, like I said, might say that you have to work hard to get by or to achieve your goals, or you have to struggle in order to get what you want out of life. So your unconscious behavior programming from your family makes you sabotage 95% of your day, okay? So even though you're not conscious that you're doing it, you think, okay, I'm working hard, that physical exertion, that energy you're putting into it, I will explain why you feel you have to work so hard to do it. Not just the subconscious programming, how that plays into it. I will explain why the physical work, why you have to work so physically hard to get it, basically. Okay? Now, and this is because 95% of our life comes from the subconscious programming. Only about 5% is operating consciously. So your life is being lived versus you living your life. Now, like I said, the crucial time in helping our children install positive images about themselves is between the ages of 0 and 7. This is a time to instill positive messages, as they will be accepted as truth by your children. Okay? The way you talk to them will have a huge impact on their lives and their belief system. For instance, if you tell a child they are bad, or even spank your child often, because if you spank your child, you're telling them they're bad, or they did something bad. So now they feel they have to hide something from you, and that makes them create a shadow self. And I talked about that in another video. You can go look at that. So I won't really get into the shadow self that much. However, that's how shadow self is created, from you telling the child that what they did is bad, or that they are a bad child. They start to think that, right? This is an unconscious way of telling them that they are bad. This is an unconscious way of showing them that they are bad. If you tell a child why can't you be more like your sibling, or you tell their sibling, oh, you're so smart, but you never tell your child, that the other child, that you are unconsciously programming that child to think that they're not smart. So then they start thinking they're dumb and they can't achieve things. Okay? Or you may be more affectionate to one child than you are to another. Again, you're programming one of the children to think that they are not worthy. So now they think they don't deserve affection. They don't deserve love. Okay? So one of the biggest tools that you can actually give your child, and which is very powerful, is a positive and healthy environment in their home, and also positive affirmations and positive affirmations that you're saying to your child. That way you're programming them at an early age, when they are most suggestive, to think that they are worthy, that they are deserving, that they are beautiful, that they are smart, all of these things. The reason why most adults today feel that they are unworthy or undeserving of a happy and prosperous life is due to the programming from the ages of 0 to 7, from being in the womb to the age of 7. Now, like I said, it may not have been intentional by our parents. Some it may be, some it may not have been. So it's no reason to blame them for them repeating a cycle. However, I'm telling you how you can break that cycle, all right, for yourself and for your children. So here's the solution. First step, and these steps I got from Dr. Bruce Lipton, okay? First step is to recognize where you struggle. You don't necessarily have to think about what happened. You can just look at your life. If you want to deep dive into why it happened, I actually started out by doing that. Like, why the fuck do I think about myself the way that I do? Why was I struggling with low self-esteem? Why was it did it take me so long to start this YouTube channel when my higher self kept telling me to start the damn YouTube channel? Why the hell, Elisa, why? You don't have to go through that. You don't have to do that to yourself, Just being able to identify where you struggle at is really the only thing you have to do. So the things you like that come into your life, because you have a program that supports them. That's really how things come into your life. You have a program that supports for you to get those things. It's the law of attraction, okay? But anything that you struggle at, that you feel you have to work hard at and put a lot of effort into making it happen, why are you working so hard, okay? The reason being is you have a program that doesn't support that conclusion, and you are trying to overwrite that program. The reason why you struggle is because there is a program in your subconscious that does not support that destination, okay? So if you have to work hard to get money, it's because you have a program in your head of scarcity, a program of poverty in your head. You do not have a program of prosperity. You don't have a program of abundance. Now, the second step, after you have identified the things that you struggle with in life, now the second step is to put new programs into your subconscious mind. This is only a two-step thing. I'm telling you, there are only 2 steps to identify the things you struggle at, and then the second thing is to put new programs into your subconscious. The conscious mind is able to pick up information. We know this because the subconscious mind can read self-help books, can listen to videos talking about breaking cycles, like how I'm talking about it now, and you can gain some awareness, but the subconscious mind doesn't learn that way. So even though your conscious mind is picking up this or learning this information or saying, you know what, yeah, I'm going to try doing this, I'm going to start doing this, I'm going to start doing that, your subconscious mind is like, I don't have that program in there. You know what I'm saying? So it does not accept that information. So you might still be manifesting the things that you say you don't want, right? Now, the subconscious mind learns in 3 natural ways. And the first way was hypnosis in your first 7 years. Okay? So you are programmed in your first 7 years. That's how you first learn. That's the natural way of learning. Now, after the age of 7, you can learn by repetition. And that is repeating things to yourself. That's why people talk about practicing positive affirmations, right? So Saying positive statements about yourself and your life repetitively is reprogramming your subconscious. That is one way to do it, all right? The other way is through symbolism. We know that images, the things that we see, is also programming us. That's why you have McDonald's and you have certain, all of the major corporations use symbols. Google, Apple, McDonald's, Wendy's, and not just symbols. They use certain colors. And so when I'm speaking of symbols, I'm not just talking about the image. I'm talking about the colors that they choose too. They're utilizing all these things to program your subconscious mind. So like you might see a commercial of Wendy's and the symbol, after you see the symbol and the color, you get hungry. That's why they use red a lot in food commercials, because red is attached to your root chakra, so that makes you want to eat. Okay, that ties into, remember, your first three chakras have to do with your physical state. Your middle chakra, the heart chakra, is the gateway between your lower chakras and your higher chakras. Okay, so a lot of times, in order to tap into your higher chakras, you have to go through your heart chakra. However, you'll notice that the big corporations don't want you to tap into it, so that's why they use the chakras, the colors for your lower chakras, which will be reds, orange, and yellows. If you just go look at most of your major corporations that have to do with food service, they are in the colors red and orange and yellow, mainly red and yellow, but red and orange and yellow. Just look at McDonald's is red and yellow, so just think about that on that note. So symbolism is really, really important. The images that you see, they are actually programming your subconscious mind. So in order for you to reprogram your mind, you can create your own images. So you can create a sigil, which is called sigil magic, and that sigil will be made from some words. You'll create a positive affirmation statement of something you want, and then you take out repetitive letters. So you can either just keep one of those letters and you cross out the other ones, or if it's repetitive, you can remove all of them together. And you can also take out the vowels. Some people leave those in. It's according to what you feel. And then you create a symbol, an image, and I like to put it in a circle, because a circle makes it more powerful, okay? Because it means something like, it means completeness. To me, it means that then so shall it be. You know what I'm saying? That's a magical saying. That's why I like to do the circle. I enclose all my sigils in a circle. And I created my sigils back in July, and I'm still utilizing those sigils because I use them during new moon, because it's new beginnings, because I'm setting that intention. So when this new moon comes, I will go ahead and pull it out. I might not have used it the last one, but I'm definitely going to use it this one, because I am manifesting and working on something big. Okay. So anywho's, if you want, you can also utilize certain colors to make it more profound. If you want to speak to, your higher chakras, you might want to use the color blue. Okay. And then also you want to incorporate some lower colors as well, or colors from your lower chakras, because you want to manifest it into your physical reality. So you have to think about it that way. Also think about the fact that when you're dreaming, your subconscious mind is talking to you in images. Okay, it might be showing you symbols. Like I remember having a dream back last year of me seeing hieroglyphics, Egyptian hieroglyphics. And that told me that my damn subconscious mind is aware of hieroglyphics. It has that programming in it. So eventually, that me being to totally understand Egyptian hieroglyphics, that programming, I'll be able to tap into it because my subconscious told me it's there. All right. So that's another reason why you speak. That's another reason why you use symbols, because that's another way for you. That is the way, like I said, for you to speak to your subconscious mind. That's why people need help interpreting their dreams, because your subconscious is speaking through symbols and images. Now, what else was I gonna say? I talked about how the sigils help you reprogram your mind because they're speaking in images. Yeah, so just remember that your belief system begins with a thought, which thought is energy. Everything is energy. a simple thought that you keep thinking over and over, which leads to it becoming habitual or repetitive. All right. Then the thought becomes evidence in our environment because we provided that seed the momentum to grow into our physical reality, thus proving to ourselves that our thoughts were true. This is why we think that the reality that we see is the truth, that there is no way to change it. However, if you follow those 2 steps, you will be on the way to reprogramming your subconscious mind so that you can now manifest the reality that you want. Okay? All right, so you want to start practicing your affirmations to reprogram your subconscious to reflect the physical reality that you truly want. And in my next video, I will give you more information on that. I will also include affirmations you can use to aid in reprogramming the way that you think about yourselves, my loves. All right, so definitely sharing this information has been a pleasure for me. It's been my absolute pleasure because I am all about the upliftment of, the consciousness and people getting to the point where we are manifesting things just like that because we no longer have that poverty programming in our minds. We no longer have that undeserving programming in our minds. So I know that this information that I shared has been beneficial for you, and the time that you spent watching this video has definitely changed your life for the better. And I want to, as always, be grateful and send out appreciation to you guys out there for watching my videos, for subscribing to my channel Knowledge Butterfly, for liking the videos, and for linking me up on my Instagram page, which they like to call following, and also for liking my page on Facebook. I appreciate you guys so much for your love, and I'm going to explain to you when I started thanking you guys and giving appreciation, it was actually just something I felt the need to do. I'm going to explain to you why my higher self told me to do that. I'm going to explain to you again also why my higher self told me to send you guys out that energy at the beginning of my video by sending you peace, blessings, love, and abundance. And how my higher self already knew, the reason for this before I consciously knew the reason for this. In probably my 3rd video, I'll get into that. So yeah, guys, again, thank you so much for everything. I love you. I heart you. I heart you. I heart you. Sending you love out into the ether, guys. Peace.